I can't believe it's 2016 and we still have to talk about this.
Why is that even a turn of phrase that people still use? And so what if it's 2016? What does that mean? It means that 2016 years have passed.
Look, feminism isn't about hating men. It simply isn't.
Well, I mean, if you say so, obviously you're the opposite of truth, and you know more than everyone else.
By saying that it is, you're misrepresenting feminism and not allowing for rational discourse to take place. This is a logical fallacy called a straw man.
Well, not really. A lot of people say that misrepresenting an argument is straw manning, but not really as I understand it, at least. You know, a straw man is really when you take a weakened form of an argument that someone has, and then you debunk that as if you actually addressed the person's original argument. If you simply argue with something the person didn't say, well, then you're arguing with your imagination. You're not straw-manning them. Straw man has some semblance of the original argument. Nonsensical bullshit you're arguing with is nonsensical bullshit that you're arguing with. I'm just saying. Also, while editing this video, I realized that I forgot to mention one very important thing. Feminists hate men is not an argument. It's a conclusion to an argument. If we want to go with a basic argument format, well, feminists think that men are responsible for their oppression. They believe that all men are potential rapists. And some, if not all, which I don't think is all, believe that any type of heterosexual sex is rape. So when you go with those premises that feminists hold those beliefs, it is very easy to come to the conclusion that they would hate men. Of course, going off the presupposition that rape isn't a good thing and they think men potentially have the ability to do something that's not good to them, it would be hard to believe that feminists have a healthy opinion of men if they believe men, in their inherent nature, are going to do terrible things to them.
When you say that feminists hate men, you make yourself sound reasonable because you don't hate men, but...
Well, not necessarily. I mean, you can hate men and be a feminist and say feminists do indeed hate men in support of feminists. Now, of course, that's not how you're framing the video. But I have to say this, Justin, I will accept that hating men is not a part of the feminist ideology. However, what is undeniable, Justin, is that having a disdain for men is certainly a part of the feminist ideology. Now, you may ask me to defend that conclusion. Well, Justin, you don't have a healthy opinion of men if you think that they're all potential rapists. Just saying.
Here's the thing, neither do I, and neither do most feminists. But you see how I said most? That must be proof that some feminists hate men, right?
Well, logically speaking, if you have encountered a feminist who does indeed hate men...
Well, yeah, sure, probably, somewhere. You see, feminism isn't an organization. We don't have meetings, we don't have leaders, we don't have rules for membership.
Yeah, about that last thing. It's an ideology, so you kind of do have rules for leadership. I mean, a part of being in that ideology. I mean, you can't be a chauvinist and by definition be a feminist. That's not a no true Scotsman. That's understanding your criteria and defining words.
If someone wants to call themselves a feminist while doing things that I would 100% consider not feminist, they're well within their rights to do so. But feminism as a whole doesn't hate men.
But as I said earlier, feminists as a whole do have a disdain of men. It is not possible, Justin, to have a healthy opinion of the men around you and believe they need re-education so they don't rape you. It's not possible, Justin, to have a healthy opinion of men and be upset when they give you a compliment. Yeah, Justin. Yeah, feminists may not outrightly hate men, although I'm sure some do, I've met them. But they certainly have a disdain of men, Justin. You can't walk around having such a low opinion of men and then running around saying that you don't hate them. It's pretty fucking confusing when you say all men are potential rapists and you can teach boys not to rape, and when you say all heterosexual sex is rape. Just saying.
By its very definition, seeking equality and justice on the basis of gender, sexuality, and race, feminism isn't about hating men.
Yes, Justin, we've gone through the dictionary definition probably 175 times. Doesn't really matter if the person is not actually doing what they say they're doing. or not unless they view equality between men and women.
But maybe you get confused when we talk about things that relate to being a man. There are a few concepts that we regularly critique and argue against, and it's possible that some of those could be misconstrued as being against men. So today I want to break down a few of those concepts. First up is toxic masculinity, which is a phrase that refers to all of the negative aspects of our culture's definition of masculinity.
Well, I've made a couple of videos on toxic masculinity, and all I really have to say here, Justin, is toxic masculinity only have feminist definitions. They don't have, I guess, I assume you're American, an American form of masculinity. In fact, from as I understand it, there really isn't much of a form of American masculinity anymore, because feminists work to holy hell to obliterate it, the same way they did with femininity. Kind of sucks. And when there is no areas for true masculinity, which is self-reliance, trust, loving yourself, working hard, benefiting other people, wisdom, strength of character, great qualities of being a man, and you say that toxic masculinity is all these bad things, which is actually just insecurity, is what our culture says is being a man, it's really hard to say that feminists don't dislike men when they attribute things that are just insecurity as a part of being a man. Because all the traits of toxic masculinity can also be found in lots of young ladies too. Because it's just fucking insecurity. It's not being a man. I have whole videos on it, so you can go watch it.
So basically, when you're raised as a man in our society, you're raised with certain ideas about what it means to be a man, and some of those are very harmful. Toxic masculinity asserts that for men to be considered men, they have to be violent, aggressive, dominant, angry, and never cry or show emotions.
Nah, that's just what feminists say our culture says you have to be a man. But, as I said in the last clip, that's just all traits of being insecure and not knowing what it means to be a man, so you overcompensate. It's not toxic masculinity, it's called being insecure. And feminists are putting traits of being insecure as inherently traits of the masculine, which is why people think that they hate men. And you can't attribute those traits to masculinity and then say that you have a healthy opinion of men, Justin. I mean, you can say it, but excuse me for not believing your words.
Toxic masculinity assumes all men to be potential rapists by saying that a woman who is dressed a certain way was asking for it, as if men can't resist the temptation to rape someone when they see a little bit of skin.
Justin, literally, my entire existence on this plane of reality, the only people I have ever heard use that turn of phrase are feminists. Feminists are the only people who call men potential rapists.
Also assumes all men to be straight. You've probably heard someone say that they became a man after they first had sex with a woman. And not wanting to have sex with women means people will probably say you're not really a man.
As I said before, those are traits of being an insecure person, not being a man. Which again are traits that a feminist attribute to being masculine.
This is bad for everyone. It's bad for women and other gender minorities who are often the victims of toxic masculinity-fueled violence, and it's bad for rape survivors who are blamed for what happened to them. And it's harmful to men because it limits who they are allowed to be. We know that there are men who don't want to be violent and aggressive, but lash out because it's the manly thing to do.
Yeah, see, Justin, once again, lashing out in anger is a person trait, not a manly trait. And when you keep attributing qualities like that to being a man, I find it very hard to believe, Justin, that you have a healthy opinion of men. Just saying.
We know that men should be able to cry and show their emotions.
That talking point really upsets me, because one, I don't need permission from feminists to tell me that I can cry and feel emotions, but that's more a pride thing than anything. But two, more to the point, it's not because of society that men don't show their emotions to women. It's because of women that men don't show their emotions to women. Men have no problem showing their emotions to other men, to their friends. But they have a right difficult problem with showing their emotions to women, because women aren't fans of really emotional men. So that problem is all up to women. If they want emotional men, they can have them, but they don't. And that's why men don't show their emotions to women. Not to other men, to women. That is all the fault of women. Not society, women. Now some people will call me sexist for that. It's true. It's true. The real problem is not men, it's women. If women want more men to talk to them about the way they feel, women need to accept the way men feel. Because if they don't, men aren't going to do it. It's as simple as that. And feminism's not going to help with that problem.
We know that men can be gay or bisexual or pansexual. By identifying toxic masculinity as the problem that it is, we hope to open up even more avenues for men to be masculine in non-toxic ways. Second is the patriarchy, the big scary word that's always associated with feminism. Patriarchy in its simplest form is a social system where men hold the most power.
Well, that certainly is in America.
In our society, that's obvious in a bunch of different ways. A majority of elected officials being men, all of the presidents ever being men, and most major CEOs being men, etc., etc.
Yeah, Justin, except there's a bit of a problem there. Because for every one powerful man you see, there's probably 100 that you don't. It's like cockroaches. For every one cockroach you see, they say there's probably like 10 you don't. Maybe like 20, I don't know. It's something along those lines. I mean, Justin, you look at the top percentage of men, but you completely ignore the men who have to rush into flaming buildings, the men who have to be accountants, the men who have to collect trash and garbage, and the men who work in sewage factories. I mean, they work in factories and work underground in sewage pipes. You look at the best men and completely ignore the overwhelming majority of men who are at the bottom of the totem pole. Sorry, Justin, I have a very tough time justifying we live in a world where mostly men hold the power when only a small group of men hold power and the vast majority of men are actually working. Just saying.
Feminists talk about dismantling the patriarchy or destroying the patriarchy. We aren't talking about destroying men. We're talking about achieving equality through justice.
Yeah. All those feminists are saying, hey, we need more women collecting garbage. Their small bodies are going to be really perfect in that endeavor. We should also have more women, I don't know, working in the sewage pipes. More women cutting down trees. Yeah, certainly very many feminists talk about that, don't they, Justin?
Since the patriarchy is a system where men are considered superior, we should all want to destroy the patriarchy.
Now, Justin, you say that as a given, right? Now, I have to ask the question, just to pose it out there. What exactly is wrong with viewing men as superior to women if men use that superiority in favor of women? Like the vast majority of human history. Men have done things to get the favor of women. Now, if I accept your premise, Justin, that the vast majority of human history or men viewed themselves superior to women, then Justin, I must ask, why then would these men work for women? Yeah, I think everyone probably understands what I'm saying. Continue.
Fighting the patriarchy isn't fighting men. It's fighting inequality and wanting to live in a world where we're on an equal playing field to men.
Yeah, no. Feminists very clearly cannot be fighting to be on equal footing with men. Because if they were, I would never be called sexist when I treat women like I treat men. But I always get called sexist for that. Whenever I hold women to the same standard I hold men, for some odd reason, somehow, I'm sexist. I don't know how. I mean, you would think that that's the literal opposite of the word sexist, but not for feminists. It's almost like they use the word sexist to describe any behavior or any treatment of women that they don't like. Just saying.
And maybe that sounds scary because you have to give up some power.
Justin, what power would these men be giving up? Justin, in the current system we already live in, men already have to prove themselves worthy to get the favor of a woman. In what social system, Justin, have you ever fucking heard that the oppressed people select their oppressors? Does that even begin to make any... You know what? Whatever. Keep going.
Because if you're at the top of an unequal system, you do have more power than those below you. But just imagine what it's like for women and other gender minorities to live in this world every day without that power.
You know, Justin, I'm still trying to figure out what power I have over women. Other gender minorities. I mean, I know power I have. But not power because I'm a man. Or maybe it is because I'm a man. I mean, I'm self-reliant. I love myself. I respect myself. I don't constantly compare myself to other men and then feel sad or bothered when I don't measure up to them. Maybe that's the power I have. Willpower. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about, Justin. I mean, there's so many different kinds of power. If you mean social power, you're on some other shit if you think that men have more social power than women. If you're trying to convince me that men control the social sphere more than women, you can get that shit out of my house, Justin. But overall, I have no idea what you're talking about specifically. You just keep saying power like I'm supposed to understand that, even though men, once again, have to prove themselves worthy to date a woman. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Justin.
Third is gender roles.
No. Oh, no. Oh, God forbid that men and women use their skills that they have acquired by nature to do things. Gender roles. That's my impression of feminists whenever they complain about gender roles, because gender roles don't really bother me all that much, considering the fact that we all have free will and can make our own life choices and decisions. I'm not really all bothered when men want to protect women, and I'm not really bothered when women want to take care of children. I have a very fucking tough time being upset with that. Really do. I'm just saying. I have a tough time.
Which you've pretty clearly seen laid out if you've ever been to a toy store. Blue is for boys, pink is for girls. Guns, tanks, and cars are for boys. Dolls, flowers, and makeup are for girls.
You ever think that might have something to do with the fact that boys like those toys and girls like those toys? Justin? You ever think that maybe the vast majority of women like tea parties when they're kids? They like dolls and playing dress up. I'm just asking, Justin. Just put it out there, Justin. Maybe boys like playing with swords. No, you probably never had that thought, right, Justin? Probably not even a thought in your. Maybe boys like fighting and slaying dragons. No, that was what? No, society obviously teaches boys that they need to go slay dragons and protect other people from demons and monsters and creatures, right, Justin? Actually, if that were the case, I find it very hard to believe that we live in a culture that looks down upon women if we train men to be their protectors and fight bloody dragons. Or in this case, insurgents over in Iraq, Syria, I don't know.
Gender roles, at their core, are completely arbitrary.
Justin, let me ask you a question. What exactly is so arbitrary about that? What's arbitrary, Justin, about that? Or these, Justin? Or how tall I am, Justin? What's arbitrary about the sexual dimorphism of men and women? I'm just asking, I'm just wondering, just asking questions,
Pink used to be considered a masculine color, and blue used to be considered a feminine color, but that switched sometime around the 30s or 40s.
Justin, I'm tempted to call you stupid, although I don't really think you are. Justin, expressions of gender are arbitrary. The actual differences between men and women aren't.
Other things we associate with gender, like makeup, dresses, or short hair, are equally made up. And this goes beyond material possession. Gender roles tell us how to act and behave. In that way, they're very closely linked with toxic masculinity. Men are supposed to be dominant, and women are supposed to be submissive. Men are supposed to work a real job, while women are supposed to stay home and take care of the kids. This all has the incredibly detrimental effect of putting people into little boxes, and we know that men and women are far more diverse than that. And on top of all of that, gender roles completely erase the existence of gender non-conforming people, because there are people who feel in between or outside binary genders, or people who don't feel any attachment to gender at all. And talking about gender as a binary pretends that they don't exist.
You want me to... Okay. Sexual dimorphism, Justin. That's it. That's my only response to all of that. That's sexual dimorphism.
So when we say that we want to destroy gender roles, it doesn't mean we want to stop you from being a man. You're free to be whatever you want. We just want you to be able to decide what being a man means for you, rather than strictly adhering to arbitrary and oppressive gender roles.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop your fucking lying.
Fourth is sexism, which you've definitely heard of. Sexism is the institutionalized discrimination against a gender or genders. Because it has to be institutionalized, that is, built into our societal systems, you can only be sexist against women or other gender minorities.
Fuck you.
Yeah, there are people who will argue that you can be sexist against men, but that's an unnecessarily defensive argument over semantics.
Oh, fuck you, fuck you.
Does sexism require institutional backing? I would say yes.
Fuck you, fuck you. Fuck you.
And because of that, only gender minorities, including women, face sexism.
How in the John Brown golly gee fuck are women a gender minority when there are more women than there are men? Logically speaking, that makes no sense. And that's completely neglecting the amount of social power that women have. If you want an example of the social power women have, women can beat the dog shit out of men in public. And despite the fact that the man, at least in my opinion, is well justified in at least pushing the woman off of him, people will tell him not to put his hands on her. That's a great amount of power, Justin. That's an amazing amount of power. And that's completely neglecting the fact that women can, I don't know, force someone else to take their fetus out of their womb, thus preventing a father from existing, thus completely preventing a patriarchy from ever coming forth. I mean, when you have the power of life and death, Justin, I find it very fucking hard to call women a minority and to call them oppressed in any way, shape, or form.
While men can still face discrimination. If you say no, then you think everyone can face sexism. Like I said, arguing about this isn't very useful and only serves to deny that there's institutionalized gender discrimination.
This, Justin, this right here, this is why people think feminists hate men. Just take a look in the mirror, you know, obtain some self-awareness, and perhaps you can understand why someone would come to that conclusion. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, you're a smart kid, right?
What I mean by that is how sexism is baked into the very foundation of everything that we do. It's how most characters in any show or a movie are men.
Justin, what the bloody hell are you talking about? Like, you mean like in a specific genre, like action and adventure? Like, God forbid, action and adventure, like role-playing games or movies or films are made for men. That's wrong. Men shouldn't have things only for themselves. But bearing in mind, no one ever complains about Sex in the City having mostly women getting fucked by rich men, or Desperate Housewives, again, rich women getting fucked by other rich people. No one has any complaints about that. But God fucking forbid that a TV show meant for men has a bunch of men in it. Can't have that.
It's how women are catcalled and harassed on the streets daily.
No. Oh no, God forbid. Someone gives a woman a compliment. Oh no, someone likes the way someone looks on the street. The oppression. I just feel for those women. People, they like the way they look. I can't.
And it's how women are paid less than men for doing the same work.
No, I can't. No, it hurts. Just make it stop. Please make it stop, it hurts.
When we say that we hate sexism, we mean that we hate how discrimination so negatively affects us. This doesn't mean that we hate men or that all men are sexist. It just means that we hate the discriminatory actions against us. Fifth is male privilege, which goes hand in hand with sexism. If sexism is the idea that gender minorities are at a disadvantage, male privilege is the idea that men are at an advantage. Now, that's not to say that all men have it better than everyone else. You also need to account for class, race, ability, and all of that.
Oh, now that's a factor in the video.
But in general, if women are losing out, men are gaining something from that.
Not necessarily. Considering the fact that the destiny of men and women are pretty intertwined, or at least it has been for about since human beings existed, I find it very hard to believe that to be the case. Especially considering the fact that the vast majority of men actually like women. They do. They really do. And I find that very interesting. That's one thing that I find strange about feminism. what I find strange about people in general is the fact that so many men like women, and yet they believe that other men don't. Like, what kind of nonsensical shit is that?
Obviously, if you're a man, that's not your fault. You didn't create the system that we're in.
But you should take responsibility for it. No, seriously, like, some people do think that men should take responsibility for something they didn't do. Like a lot of people. It's actually kind of disheartening.
But you do benefit from male privilege. When you're loud and demanding, you're more likely to be called strong than bossy.
Strong? I think you mean threatening and about to be put in jail. What are you talking about?
You can walk down the street without having to worry about catcallers.
Seriously? That's male privilege? People think that I'm so ugly and unattractive that they don't want to walk up to me and tell me? That doesn't really sound like a privilege.
You can dress how you want or sleep with who you want, and you won't be called a slut.
Sure. I give you the whole you can dress how you want and won't be called a slut. You might be called a bum. In fact, lots of people call me a bum because I wear a white shirt. I mean, honestly, throughout my entire life, I've never seen a homeless man wearing a white shirt. Seriously, I've never seen it. Or maybe the shirt was so dirty that it looked brown or black. But I don't really know where that comes from. So, sure, if dressing provocatively equals slut for women, then dressing of low stature equals bum for men. So as it turns out, there is equality, it's just different, because it balances itself out. The whole you can sleep with whoever you want and you won't be called a slut. Yeah, be a pickup artist and see how far you can get with that, Justin, without, I don't know, having everybody despise you.
Having male privilege doesn't make you a bad person, and we don't hate you for it, but you do need to be able to recognize it. And lastly, there's misogyny, the hatred of women. This is very similar to sexism in that it's used to talk about things that are harmful to women, but I feel like misogyny has more anger behind it. But I think what really trips people up is that they don't want to be branded a misogynist. Because you can definitely do or say misogynistic things without necessarily being a misogynist.
No, it's kind of either or, Justin. Either you hate women or you don't, okay? Now, if you say something that is hateful towards women, we have to ask ourselves a very specific question. What the fuck did you say? And is it actually hateful towards women, or are you just acknowledging reality? I think that's a very important question. So many things get called misogynistic when it's not. For example, I'm not really a big fan of Rey from The Force Awakens. I think she's a Mary Sue. She kind of is. And if I go to different channels on YouTube, even on my video, people have said that that's sexist and misogynistic. I don't hate women, Justin. It sucks that I even have to fucking say that, Justin. I even have to defend the fact that I don't hate women. I have to defend that, Justin, because I don't like the presentation of a character that happens to have a vagina. I'm just saying, Justin, maybe some things people call misogynistic really isn't. I'm just saying.
We're all constantly growing and evolving, and we're all raised with misogynistic ideas in our head. So
No, Justin. No. Fuck you. Fuck you. I am so sick and tired of people saying we all grow up with this hatred of women. I don't know what you're talking about, Justin. Stop it. Stop. You and your ilk and all your feminist friends need to stop telling people that you grow up hating. No, we don't. No, we don't. Okay? Stop it. Alright, I'm speaking for every normal person in society. We don't fucking grow up hating women. Stop with that shit.
So yeah, sometimes we're going to say or think misogynistic things. But when someone says, hey, what you just said is misogynistic, they're not saying, you're a terrible person who hates women.
Yeah, well, you could have fooled me.
They're just saying that what you said contributes to the hatred of women, so maybe you should reconsider it. Hating misogyny means standing up to things that degrade or demean women, and oftentimes men feel like it's their right to be able to treat women like that. So I think that by fighting misogyny, sometimes men feel like we're telling them what they can and cannot do.
Justin, that is exactly what feminists are doing. Justin, are you serious? Are you actually serious? What the bloody hell are you talking about? That is exactly what you know what, Justin, wrap us up. Wrap us up, man.
But obviously, you're free to say misogynistic things if you want. But we're free to criticize those things. And it really doesn't hurt to think about the consequences that your words and actions have towards women. By hating misogyny, we're literally hating the hatred of women. I feel like that's something we can all get behind. So these are the 6 things that feminists hate that aren't men: toxic masculinity, the patriarchy, gender roles, sexism, male privilege, and misogyny. These are all clearly related to men, but they're not men.
Yeah, Justin, except after watching your video, I'm more thoroughly convinced that feminists do hate men, or at the very least have a disdain of men, than I am that they don't. Justin, everything that you have said is so closely interlinked with the very definition of being a man, especially when you pile together all 6 things, except misogyny, because that has nothing to do with being a fucking man. Everything that you said aside from that is so closely interlinked with being a man. Actually, we can add misogyny back onto there because you did link it to the very nature of being a man, being as you grow up with misogynistic thoughts. It's hard to see where the distinction is, Justin. It's hard to see what exactly is the difference between everything you've just said, which you have attributed to the very qualities of being a fucking man, and the difference between having a penis and being a male. Justin, you've made a difference without a distinction. So much so that I can honestly just say I'm more thoroughly convinced that feminists disdain, if not outright hate men. And that's all because of you and what you said.
In fact, dismantling a lot of these things would help men too.
Yeah, no, we heard you the first time. But I'm pretty sure anyone actually listening to what you said will probably come out thinking otherwise. Or not. Maybe you've convinced some other people, although honestly I doubt it. So that's pretty much the end of his video and subsequently the end of mine. Man, I certainly hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, man, go ahead and click that like button. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below, and as always, you guys have a great day. I will see you cool cats soon. Adios.